Hello and welcome to another Betfred Sports video right here in the Quest Media Network studio. Now, of course, we'd usually reflect on the Premier League results to start off with. However, there were no matches, so we'll take a look at the local results from the weekend. So in the National League North, Curzon Ashton maintained their playoff hopes with a 1-0 victory at title-chasing AFC Fylde. The Nash are now 8th in the table and 2 points outside the playoffs, having won back-to-back games. In the NPL Premier Division, Stalybridge Celtic returned from Bamber Bridge with a 2-0 win. Simon Howarth side are now 15th in the table and returned to action with a home tie against Mickleover on Saturday. Ashton United were forced to settle for a point in a 2-2 draw at Nantwich Town. The Robins took a 2-goal lead through Jordan Simpson and Jack Redshaw in the first half. However, the Dabbers hit back in the second half and took a share of the points thanks to Sean Miller and Sean Cook. The Robins made the journey to Atherton Collieries on Tuesday night. Hyde United's worries continued as they fell to a 2-1 defeat to Buxton at the Project Solar Stadium. The Tigers went 2 goals down but did pull one back through Jonah Mitchell. However, it mattered little as the Bucks held out for victory. Hyde are now 19th in the table ahead of Saturday's trip to Scarborough Athletic. In the NPL West, Glossop North End's 2-game winning run came to a crashing end in a 4-0 defeat at Warrington Rylands. The Hillmen will be looking to return to winning ways this weekend when they host Bootle at the Amdek Forklift Stadium. And Mosley looked destined for the 3 points on Saturday. However, they conceded 2 late goals to draw 3-3 with Kidsgrove Athletic. The Lily Whites return to action this weekend with a trip to league leaders Workington. So Peter, looking locally, Curzon Ashton, 1-0 victory at third place, AFC Fylde. The Nash always go into the season as the underdogs. As it stands, they've got a real good chance of reaching the playoffs, and what a feat that'd be for the club.
Well, it would be. Regular listeners may know that I used to play for their reserve team, so close to my heart. Great outfit, and frankly, it's about time that Tameside have a team that would go right through National League and be in the EFL.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been campaigning for that for years. It's about time one of them emerged.
Yeah.
And Tameside got a professional, top-notch football team.
I mean, you'll know as well as I do, that suggestion of amalgamating all the teams in Tameside, creating a Tameside United, it ruffles a few feathers. But do you think maybe in 15, 20 years' time, when the older generation dies out, that could become a real possibility?
Yeah, but the problem with that is that the younger generation thinks it's a good idea, become the older generation, and then they want to carry on as it's always been with Stalybridge Celtic, Ashton United,
yeah.
Mosley, Curzon Ashton, and nobody really wants to admit which is the best team. But at the moment, it's got to be that Curzon Ashton have got the best setup. But it's going to take a long, long time for all those great rivalries to disappear.
Yeah.
I just can't never see it happening. I mean, when I was at the Manchester Reviews, I tried to make it happen. It never happened. I know the reporters, have tried as well to try and bring everyone together.
Yeah.
But there's always this amazing rivalry, and that's what makes this area unique for non-league football. In fact, it has got the highest density of non-league football than anywhere else in the world.
Well, there's certainly a proud history of football in Tameside, and as I said then, Curzon Ashton flying high in the National League North. What a feat it would be for the Nash if they did reach the playoffs this season. And another club flying high, a Stockport County, they're in the division above in the National League. Peter, they travelled down to Barnet on Saturday, putting a 5-star performance, 5-0 against the Bees, and they are top of the division now.
Yeah, I see the odds haven't changed. They're still 10 to 11 with Betfred to actually win the league and be champions. And I do think they're going to do it. I mean, it's best to have points on the board, as they say, and you can't do much better than go to a team like Barnet and win 5-0. It's just fantastic. I noticed that the next one is against Chesterfield. Now, if they win that, they'll be massively odds on to win the league.
Well, Chesterfield getting a 89th minute winner at Eastleigh in the late kick-off on Saturday evening. 1-0 victory there. How important is that for the Spire-Rights in terms of their title credentials this season?
Well, it just keeps them up and running and on the tail of Stockport County. They needed that victory and they just about achieved it.
Well, just looking at the table at the moment, there are 6 points from first spot to 7th spot, and you look at that, look how tight it is. This could go down to the wire this season.
Yeah, it's becoming a very exciting league. A lot of people are looking at that and looking at the standard of football and comparing it with the EFL Division 2, arguing that the top teams in the National League are arguably better than the ones in the EFL at the moment.
Absolutely.
And I think it attracts people who, I know most of them are professional now, but previous to that they had like policemen and firemen and teachers who wanted to hold down kind of another job and be a professional footballer as well. And you do get a high standard of kind of people and athletes competing in the National League.
Well, there is an argument that the top half of the National League is far better quality than the bottom half of League Two.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to necessarily disagree with that because of those type of people who they've attracted in the past and the ambitious owners that seem to work in the National League, not just the Hollywood stars who've taken over Wrexham, but the money men behind Stockport, Chesterfield, etc. And there's Notts County as well. They are another team that was not so long ago in the EFL.
Well, just speaking of League Two very quickly, at the weekend it ended Oldham Athletic 0, Rochdale 0. Peter, on last week's Sports Talk, we said how important this game was for the Latics in terms of keeping them up this season. A point in a local derby, not too bad. The biggest thing to take from that though, 8,000 at Boundary Park. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, Rochdale took 2,500, which is similar to the home crowd. I mean, it's only just down the road, of course. But I listened to a lot of that on the radio, and I've seen clips on TV, and it seemed like Oldham dug in there, didn't get any shots off. Chances were really rare. Rochdale perhaps should have won it, but they didn't. That 1 point will do Oldham more good than Rochdale. Because Rochdale still got ambitions to get into the playoffs. At the very least, they've got a lot of games in hand. But from Sheridan's point of view, the new manager is back there for his 4th or 6th time, whatever way you want to argue it. It would be a fantastic performance to get a point against basically a better team. Just around the corner.
Absolutely. Well, John Sheridan's got an enormous task on his hands this season to keep Oldham up. One man that won't have an enormous task is Pep Guardiola this weekend. They're taking on Fulham in the FA Cup. But saying that, Fulham flying high in the Championship, held to a draw against Blackpool at the weekend. What do you think this one's going to be like? Do you think it'll be a bit tighter than the table suggests?
It'll be interesting to see what sort of a team Guardiola puts out. Now, he's got various players such as Jesus, who's been away with Brazil, and other players who've been around all over the world for the World Cup playoffs. So, knowing the way he'll set about his business, he'll just tinker with his squad. And it will be a great test for Fulham, who are flying high, as you say, in the Championship at the Etihad. I think City will be wanting to put them in the box. And with that in mind, Betfred have City 1-9 to go through to the next round. Fulham 18-1, a draw 15-2. And of the goal scorers, we believe that Sterling is the most likely to score first, along with De Bruyne. They're both 9-2. And Phil Foden, he's 5-1 to score the first goal in that game, which should be a fantastic spectacle because Fulham only know how to play it one way, which is all-out attack. And City will relish that at home because they'll be able to pick them off presumably with their great counter-attacking play.
Definitely. Now looking ahead to Friday night's game, we've got Manchester United hosting Middlesbrough at Old Trafford. Peter, of course, the Red Devils go into the game as favourites, but when you're an underdog, anything can happen. Potential banana skin, especially given what's been happening over the club over the past few days.
Yeah, United are 1-3 with Betfred to beat Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough 8-1, so we believe that is a much tougher game for United than City. For the first goal scorer, we've got Ronaldo 5-2 to score first, Rashford 9-2, same price as Cavani. To win the FA Cup outright, and this is United's best chance of getting a trophy, of course. United are 7-1 with Betfred to win the FA Cup outright. City 11-4, Chelsea 5-1, and Liverpool 6-1. And then we get into West Ham at 10-1. Going down to Everton with a new manager, 25-1.
Let's just pick up on that. Frank Lampard, the new Toffees boss. Do you think that's a good signing for the Toffees, or do you think he's a little bit too inexperienced to keep them up this season?
Well, I'm tempted to say it could be a bit lightweight because he hasn't got that experience as at a struggling club.
Yeah.
Everything is in the garden's been rosy for Frank Lampard throughout his career.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one huge task for him to go to a club that's clearly in crisis mode, if not crisis, struggling to keep themselves out of the relegation battle. But the bottom line is that there's at least 3 teams that are worse than Everton in the league at the moment. So a couple of wins under his belt, and who knows what will happen. It'd be interesting to see what now is in situ, whether he moves quickly in the market and starts bringing in players, because they certainly need some fresh blood in there. But it's the structure at Everton that's half the problem. Who's actually in charge of recruitment, who's in charge of the team, and it's always been fluctuating that over the years.
Yeah, certainly has. Well, Frank Lampard's got a huge task to keep the Toffees up this season, and another man that has a huge task is Portsmouth boss Danny Cowley. He's looking to take his side into the League One playoffs. That continues tonight with a home tie against Charlton Athletic. Peter, 2 former established Premier League sides going head-to-head. Portsmouth, they really need to return, don't they, at least to the Championship, given the size of the club.
Well, they do attract fantastic crowds. That rivalry with Southampton is something to behold, isn't it? So good luck to them. I think they've got half a chance of getting back there. They've got a good management structure in place, and I think they'll probably will do.
Absolutely. Well, as you can see on the screen at the moment, Portsmouth currently sitting 11th spot, while Charlton are 15th. Charlton trying to avoid the drop this season under manager Johnny Jackson. The Addicts, they always seem to be fluctuating between League One and the Championship, but they're in League One at the moment. They're trying to avoid the drop into League Two. That would be awful for them.
Well, it would. But I mean, I do think there's kind of too many London teams in the top-notch football. But you do always have a soft spot for Charlton. He always seems to be battling against the odds, and they've had off-field problems before. But I think they probably will avoid the drop.
Absolutely. Well, very quickly, before we move into 2 big winners at Betfred this week, on Wednesday night in the Scottish Premier League, we've got Celtic taking on Rangers. Always a huge clash. No love lost there. Celtic currently second on 54 points. Rangers topping the table on 56 points. A huge game.
Yeah, Celtic are in a position now where after the weekend's results, so they can go back on top. And I think that Rangers are going through kind of a transitional period, although they are dominating things. They've brought in some English recruits, haven't they? Whereas Celtic have got the Japanese players who are going great guns. So it's all set up for a fantastic spectacle.
Yep, certainly is. So Celtic enter that game on the back of 4 straight wins, and of course, as Peter alluded to then, Rangers were held to a 3-3 draw at Ross County at the weekend. So Peter, as I said a moment ago, 2 big winners at Betfred this week. One person scooped £3,600 from a £2 bet, while another big winner scooped £7,787 from a £15 bet. Both football accumulators, am I right?
Yeah, you're right. The guy in the Midlands who you say had £2 on and won 3,646 with Betfred. He had the results of 10 matches, including Hull, Millwall, Lincoln, Forest Green at Tranmere. I mean, that was a sensational result as well. To put the leaders in Division League 2, putting the second place team in the place with a 4-0 victory there. He also had Southend winning at Dover. Anyway, he picked up 3,646. And then we've got a guy from Eastleigh in Hampshire. He had 7 matches, and he predicted the results, wins for Bournemouth at Barnsley, which was a tricky one, and draws. He had 4 draws in that. And he had £15 ACCA, and he won 7,887 with his accumulator.
Excellent stuff. And I always say, and I keep banging on about this, if you're going to win, you've got to be in it to win it. Betfred stores are now open. You can also bet online and via their app. But Peter, we've taken a look at the biggest talking point of the weekend. It came at the Australian Open. Rafael Nadal winning his 21st Grand Slam. And I know that that's affected the odds for this year's Wimbledon.
Well, it has. As soon as we see someone in form like him, and he's got the crowd and if not world support behind him, and the greatest tennis tournament, of course, is Wimbledon. He's been cut in now to 14-1 to win at Wimbledon. Djokovic, who's now the bad boy of tennis after his vaccine hassle trying to get into Australia, he's still a favourite. He's 11-10 favourite to win at Wimbledon. But Nadal is the one who's going on him. He's 14-1 now.
Excellent stuff. Well, just to recap before we leave you today, this evening's fixture, it's a League One clash. We've got Portsmouth hosting Charlton Athletic, and then a big one on Wednesday in the Scottish Premier League. We've got Celtic entertaining Rangers. Well, it's been great speaking to you, Peter, and if you are watching this and you do fancy a punt on the upcoming fixtures, Betfred stores are now open, but you can also bet online via their app.